Oh, control your mind, control your life. Think Different Theory, baby. That's what we do. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Think Different Theory. My name is Josh Forti, and this is the COVID episode. Yes, guys, we're going to be breaking down my experience with COVID, the symptoms over the course of the last, right now, I'm on day 8. And the symptoms are still very much here, but I want to kind of break down my experience with it, go through day by day by day. I've kind of written everything out here, what I experienced, what it was like, and hopefully just help educate people on what to expect with COVID or what COVID can do. I know it affects everybody very differently, and we're going to talk about that, but I don't think that there has been enough education, at least from me and from a lot of people that I'm one of those people that's like, hey, don't live in fear, right? Go out there and live your life and make your own choices and decisions and don't let the government tell you what to do, right? But I do think that it's important to educate on what the disease actually is, the effects that it can have, so that you can be informed and you can actually go out and make informed decisions. And that way you can determine, whether or not you think it's worth the risk to go out if you actually understand what can happen. Now, one of the things that's interesting here, I kind of want to preface this, is that I know a lot of people that have gotten COVID, and pretty much everybody that I know has it's treated them differently. My fiance had it. In fact, she's the one that gave it to me. 5 members of my family, well, 4 confirmed, we're pretty sure 5 members of my family have gotten it. My mom had it. Several of my sisters have had it. And some of them were, down and, back up in a matter of a day or two. And, my mom was down for several weeks before she fully recovered from it. And so every single person, like I said, that has had it, that I know closely in my family, in my friend circle, it's been affected each person differently. And so this is my experience with COVID. I probably got it worse than most of the people that I know that had it, outside of maybe my mom. But, she falls into an older class that's probably going to have different effects or different reactions to it anyway. But the purpose of this episode is to go through and just share my experience with it, and let you know exactly what happened on a day-to-day basis over the course of I'm on day 8 right now, and I am still very much not all the way through it yet. I still have symptoms that are lying around and will not go away. Now, the big question that people have asked is, Josh, do you change your opinion? Does going through COVID actually go through and change your opinion of masks, of lockdowns, of the government restrictions that are imposed, of social distancing, things like that? Because as you know, I've been very vocal about the fact that I do not think the government should require people to wear masks. I think that has to be left up to the personal decisions and to the business owners. If a business owner wants me to wear a mask, I have no problem wearing a mask. Absolutely zero problem wearing a mask if the business owner itself asks me to put on a mask. But if the government does, I want to cut it up and throw it out, because I don't think it is ever the government's job to ever tell me to wear a mask. Same thing with lockdowns. I think that it is absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. It's totally unconstitutional and wrong for the government to impose lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, shut down businesses. And so up until the point I had COVID, I've been very, very vocal about this, and so a lot of people, there were some idiots on my post that are like, oh, think of how many people you killed now because you haven't had a mask on. Like, you're all dumb, and you can just, no, I haven't killed anybody because I didn't wear a mask. Okay, like, that's ridiculous and insane. But the question continues to come up, like, Josh, does this change your opinion of COVID at all? Does this change your opinion of that? And I do want to get into that. I'm going to give kind of a short answer here, but I do want to kind of expound on this a little bit more. The short answer is no, not at all. I don't think that, I assumed everybody was going to get COVID. Like, I assume most people are going to end up getting it, right? I don't, like, it has a 99, under the age of 49, it has a 99.92% survival rate. And there absolutely is some long-term implications or effects on some people's lives. There's no question about that. But it is not the government's job to tell people how to live their lives. It is not the government's job to take away freedoms. It's not the government's job to, force people to act in a certain way. That's just, it's simply not the case. And the idea that the government has the ability to shut down people's livelihoods, to shut down businesses, decide which businesses get to stay open, when we can and cannot go out, is insane. And I will forever oppose that, because it doesn't matter what it is. It has no, like, this could be this could have a 50% death rate. Like this could have literally a 50% death rate that 1 in 2 people that got it died. And I still would say the government has no moral authority to tell people how they can and cannot live their life. However, and then we're going to go into the symptoms here, but however, I do think what the government needs to do and what we should all do, and this is the purpose of me making this podcast episode, is to educate people. Is to educate people on what the disease actually is, how it can affect you. Because let me tell you guys, and you're going to hear this from me, COVID wiped me out. Like it freaking took me out of commission for a solid week to where I could basically do nothing for almost a solid week. Like I couldn't work. I couldn't really drive. I couldn't go anywhere. Like I was confined and like to the point where like it would take, I mean, there were times when it took absolutely every ounce of energy that I could possibly muster up in my body to get from the couch to bed or to get from bed to the bathroom, right? Like, I mean, it really did knock me out. And it's much more serious than, say, just, the common flu. However, there is a lot of some similarities with the common flu, and I think that the common flu is actually probably the closest thing to compare this to, except we very, very intense version of that. And so I think we do need to educate people on what this can actually do to your life, how it can affect you, and what you can actually expect in this scenario. So here we go. Let's kind of dive in. For context, if you're a first-time listener and you don't know me at all, I'm a 26-year-old male. Super, super healthy. I have been actively taking stuff to keep my immune system up. In fact, so I showed the first symptoms the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So the Wednesday before Thanksgiving was that morning. So Tuesday night, though, if you would have asked me how I was feeling, I would have told you I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel the healthiest I've ever felt, all right? I was actively taking vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, fish oil, elderberry syrup, right? I was very, very healthy and very much up to speed. I had been taking those for weeks vitamin C, vitamin D to keep my immune system up because here's the deal. I refuse to live in fear, and so I live a normal life. I don't listen to the lockdowns. I go out when I want to go out. I go to the store when I want to go to the store. I don't wear a mask when I'm out walking in when I'm walking on a public sidewalk or I'm hiking in the mountains. I don't wear a mask. I think it's ridiculous to wear a mask when there's literally no one around. So I live a pretty normal life. Now, that being said, I'm not around a whole lot of people in general. I work from home and I have worked from home for years. And so the whole COVID restriction, everybody having to shift to work from home, I don't see a whole lot of people in my life, generally speaking anyway, but I did know that I get out and about, and I wanted to make sure that I was healthy. And so going into this, I was about as healthy as you would expect. Seriously, very, very healthy as far as everything is concerned. So I woke up on Wednesday morning. This was the day before Thanksgiving, and I rolled out of bed, and that first initial you roll out of bed and you're like, I feel sore. And it was the first signs of it was I sat up in bed, and I don't know if you've ever gone really, really hard, like running, and you didn't drink water, and you wake up the next morning, and your head is just pounding, almost like a hangover. Although, man, it's been, I don't drink, so I mean, I don't really know if I'm the best person to say if it was like a hangover or not. Have never been hungover in my life. So, but a pounding headache, and from lack of water. That's how I always get those headaches when I haven't drank enough water, and then super aches all over my body. And so I was originally supposed to travel for Thanksgiving. I was going to be leaving Wednesday night, and I told my fiance, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go. I'm clearly feeling sick. I don't feel 100% healthy, but I got up throughout my day. This was Wednesday. I still went. I did work. I'm not somebody that's going to be taken down by a little sickness, or at least I thought. And so I went throughout my day. The aching kind of in my body got worse. My headache started getting worse, even though I drank water. I took Tylenol, and it just wasn't going away. And about 4:00 that day on Wednesday, I was getting ready to wrap up work for the day, and I was like, I've got to stop right now. I'm absolutely exhausted. My head hurts. I am aching. I need to take a nap. I need to actually go to sleep. And so I ended up laying down about 4 or 5 o'clock, fell asleep, woke up a few hours later. It was probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And it was okay, I'm definitely sick. And there's, I'm definitely getting, which assume was COVID there. And sure enough, excuse me, you can excuse me, still hear my cough. It was COVID, and I was hurting. It was aches, headache, and that night I started getting a low fever. It was not between 99 and 100 degrees on Wednesday, and on Wednesday night, and I was like, okay, this is getting serious, and I'm not feeling well, and so I ended up tossing and turning throughout the night. I couldn't really sleep. This is actually something that's super interesting throughout. I was not able to sleep for like the last week. Really, I have not been able to sleep very well. I know a lot of people are like, I passed out for 18 hours. I wish that would have been the case for me, but the most I could sleep was like four or 5 hours at a time tops, and then I was up, toss, turn, toss, turn, toss, turn, toss, turn, and so that's what it was like Wednesday. Going into Thanksgiving morning, woke up, and it was very obvious. Now, this was a very serious sickness. Thursday, this would have been day 2, intense aching. Worst headache I've ever had, high fever, and my fever really started picking up and was well over 100 all day, and got progressively worse throughout the day. I would take ibuprofen and Tylenol. I altered back and forth every 6 hours or so. Every 4 to 6 hours, I would do Tylenol and then ibuprofen, then Tylenol, then ibuprofen. And that kept my fever down, manageable around, 99, between 99 and 100 for most of the day. But then as nightfall came and this is Thanksgiving Day, I'm starting to feel way worse at this point. I mean, I am aching. My body is in pain, intense headache, feeling the only way I can describe it is like, imagine a stone, like a rock with spikes on it. And that was like going back and forth in my head. It was like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. And so that really, really was, causing pain. And it got to the point like into the evening where my fever was as I was getting ready to go to bed, it was about 101.6. And that's with Tylenol. I was under Tylenol. I had taken NyQuil. I was on quite a bit of medicine that should have taken any normal fever down. And this one was still at 101.6. And then that night is when it's probably like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And this would have been, so day 2, I got immense like chills and aches like I had never had before. It was hands down the sickest I have ever been Thanksgiving night. I was laying in bed, and because I had a fever, I was underneath the covers because I was freezing. I had chills. But because I had a fever, I was just like super, super hot, burning up underneath my blanket. And I would lay there, and like, you're moving like this fast, right? Like when you're rolling over, because it hurts so bad. But I would roll over and I would try to get comfortable, and the heat from the fever underneath the blankets were just miserably uncomfortable. But the second I would try to like put my foot out from underneath the bed or like lift up the comforter at all, my entire body, because of the chills, would just immediately go into like uncontrollable shivering. And now you have shivering on top of immense body aches, a fever, chills, fatigue. Like, it was hands down the most sick I have ever been. And I took NyQuil to try to put me to sleep, but like, I couldn't. Like, when I had to use the restroom that night, it was probably 5 to 10 minutes of me like trying to like mentally prep to like muster the energy to get from my bed to the restroom, and it was like right there. Like, it was not a long walk at all. But I had absolutely no energy. I had absolutely no strength. Fever, headache, very, very sick. Thankfully, around, I don't know, I think it was 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around in there, I woke up, and I fell asleep very briefly for about 30 minutes or so. And then I woke up, and when I woke up, my fever had broken. And this was, like I said, about 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And when it broke, it was like the most sweat. And I was trying to do my very best to stay hydrated with everything. But like, sweat absolutely everywhere. It was the most sweat I think my body has ever put out. I mean, my whole shirt and clothes and sheets and everything was just completely drenched in sweat, completely soaking wet. And so I felt a little bit better after that. And by a little bit, I mean like enough to change clothes and go lay on the couch. But even that probably took me 20 minutes to go through and do. So hands down, the most sick I have ever been on, that would have been Thursday night. This is the night of day 2. And so I ended up sleeping for about 6 hours after that, which was nice because it's the longest period of time I had slept since Wednesday morning when I had woken up. Going into day 3 now, I was still having very intense aching, extreme fatigue, couldn't really do anything. And one of the things that I noticed was I really wasn't eating a whole lot. Like, you don't really feel like eating when you're in that scenario. At this point, I had not lost my taste yet. I had not lost my smell. But I did realize that when I did eat, I made myself some chicken noodle soup. When I did actually eat, I felt better for about an hour after I would eat. So on Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, when I was making myself up like soup, or actually Grubhub brought some stuff to the door, I felt like I had some form of energy, some form of something for about an hour afterwards, and I was able to like get up and function for a little bit beforehand, and then about an hour after I would eat right back down to it. And so day 3 on Friday, still intense aching. Headache was a little bit better, but it was still definitely there, and I had a low fever. And so on day 3, I'm like, okay, this COVID thing is no joke. Seriously, like there's a 0% chance I could do any form of work. I couldn't go anywhere. I was certainly not functioning. Obviously, I was sick, so I wasn't going to go anywhere. But even if I wanted to, no chance of that happening. And then Saturday came along. And so we're on day 4 now. And I woke up Saturday morning, once again, like toss, turn, all night Friday night. Could not sleep very well. And then finally probably about 5 or 6 hours after that, I fell asleep for a solid 4 or 5 hours, woke up. And on Saturday, I actually felt way better. I thought I was coming out of it at that point. I was like, sweet, I'm good. Like when you get over sicknesses, that first day when you kind of feel like you're getting better, my energy was back. What I wrote down here in my notes was I had fatigue, I had a little bit of aching, but I was up and about. But I did lose my sense of smell that day. So this was day 4. It was when I lost my sense of smell. I still had my sense of taste, but I did not have my sense of smell. I was up, I was about, and I was like, you know what? If this continues, I'm going to be just fine. Tomorrow, I'm sure I'll be back on my feet. Everything will be good to go, and there'll be no problems. And so kept taking my vitamin C, kept taking the vitamin D, the zinc, the medicines and whatnot, tried to eat some more, and really felt like I was coming out of it. This was day 4. Day 5. Oh, my word. It was like all the progress that I had made from day 4 completely wiped out, and I was back to where I was on day 3. I was back down again. At this point now, this is some of the most intense fatigue that I had ever experienced in my life, where I would get up and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go fill up my water. And I would stand up and I would walk over to there, and I felt like I would just want to pass out for like 2 hours. Like I felt like a complete wuss. Headache back again, pounding headache, fever was back. And this is when I'm sorry, this is day 4. Yeah, fatigue, aching, up and about, lost smell. Okay, day 5 on Sunday is when I lost my sense of taste. So on day 4 is when I lost my sense of smell. Day 5 is when I lost my sense of taste. The headache came back, my low fever came back. And that's when, on Sundays, when my deep cough started. And so I started coughing. And it's like, if you've ever had bronchitis or you know anybody that has bronchitis, it's this super, super deep cough where you're like coughing up mucus and crap. And like when you start coughing, you don't stop coughing for a period of time, and you feel like you're going to just absolutely die, and you're peeling over. It takes absolutely everything out of you. That was on Sunday. Monday was the same thing, slightly better from a headache standpoint. My fever was gone on Monday. I didn't have a fever on Monday, but like sweating and fatigue and body aching. I was supposed to work Monday, right? It's a work day. No, I sat on one meeting that morning, and that was it. That's all I could make it through before I was completely exhausted again. Laid on the couch, turned on a movie, and the body aches came back, completely wiped out, and my cough got even worse. That was on Monday. This is day 6 at this point. And I was like, man, I'm 6 days into this. I'm a 26-year-old healthy individual. And this entire time, I've been alternating between Tylenol and ibuprofen. I've been taking all my medicines, vitamin C, vitamin D, and K2, zinc. What else was I taking? Elderberry. I'm sorry, not elderberry. I stopped taking elderberry. Kaleido Silver. Lots of, you can hear that. I have a Mucinex right now, and some other medicine, so my cough isn't so bad right now. But completely wiped out even on Monday on day 6. Day 7 is when I finally felt like I could work again. I finally felt like I could get up and about. Very low energy, very fatigued, and like not fast moving at all, right? Very slow, just cautious with everything, aching body, intense fatigue, headache, deep cough, things like that. And so that was day 7. We're on day 8 now, and I finally feel, and you can kind of see I'm a little bit chirped up now, and have a little bit more energy in it with me. I slept relatively good for really only the second night since this whole thing started, and slept for a long period of time last night, or I was in bed for a long period of time, and I'm sitting, and I have been sitting. I've been drinking lots of water, lots of fluid, lots of vitamin C, lots of vitamin D, some medicine to help with the aches and the pain. And I will just say this, when I woke up this morning, so this is day 8, when I woke up this morning, still intense aching. Like, it's weird, guys. Like, I'm not someone to just be down for long periods of time. Like, if I go down, I get sick for a day or two, and then I pop back up. But to have this ongoing fatigue, having this ongoing achingness in my body is like something I have never experienced before. And so we're on day 8 now, like I said at the time of this recording, and I don't know when I'm going to be over it. Right now, I don't have a fever, but I have an intense cough, intense aching, and fatigue with everything. And yeah, that's where we're at. So that's been my experience. Just to recap, day 1, aches, headache, low fever. Day 2, intense aches, worst headache ever, high fever of 101.6 with Tylenol. Day 2 evening, hands down the most sick I've ever been in my life. Like, if I was going to die, that was going to be the night that I was going to die, because, oh my gosh, I've never been in so much pain in my whole life. I've never been so miserable in my entire life. I've never had chills like that in my entire life. I mean, that was hands down the most sick I've ever been. Day 3, still have intense aching. Headache was a little bit better, but still very much there. Low fever. Day 4, feeling better, a little bit of fatigue, a lot of aching, but I was able to kind of get up and about, lost my sense of taste. And I was like, hey, lost my sense of smell. I was able to get up and about though, so I thought I was, rounding the curve. But then day 5 happened, back down again, intense fatigue, headache, low fever, deep cough started, and that's when I lost my sense of taste. Day 6, intense fatigue, aching body, headache, deep cough, got worse. And then day 7, intense fatigue, headache, deep cough, held, didn't get any better, didn't get any worse, just kind of held, but very much aching body. And then today, I would say the fatigue is still very much there. It's more achy today. I have a little bit less fatigue, I think, overall. But like intense fatigue, like it just feels like the energy is just zapped out of your body. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like you think that, oh man, I'll be able to summon it up. Oh man, I'll be able to. Nope. I was not able to do it in the slightest. So that's been my experience with COVID. The things that helped me, I really truly believed helped me, were number 1, I stayed incredibly hydrated this entire time. Sometimes it was difficult to drink water. I drank red Gatorade. So I alternated between red Gatorade and water. And for whatever reason, my body, if I tried to just drink a big glass of water, I didn't really feel like drinking. But once I had red Gatorade, I was able to drink that much faster and a lot more of it. And so red Gatorade was really, really helpful. So staying hydrated was definitely probably the biggest thing. Number 2 was eating. You don't feel like eating. That is the last thing in the world that I felt like doing most of the days. But lack of food and lack of having any form of substance in my body would make my stomach hurt and would make me feel like I just had even less energy, which obviously. And so finding things, I grubbed Kentucky Fried Chicken, which weirdly enough was really delicious before I lost my sense of taste. Chicken noodle soup was a lifesaver. Had chicken noodle soup multiple times. Muffins. I actually really liked eating muffins. Walmart has these chocolate chip muffins that I have that I eat them all the time anyway. And so we had several cases of those at home. Thankfully, we had stocked up on those, and so I ate those. I'm trying to think what else I ate. during that time. Oh, green juice. This is another thing that I drank plus ate. Bolt House Farms makes this big bottle of green juice. It's like $5 at Walmart. Like you can get smaller bottles of it too. I drank a lot of that. So staying hydrated, I believe really, really, really helped me. And I know that I stayed very well hydrated because when my fever did break, like just drenched in sweat, and I went to the restroom a lot. I used the restroom a lot during this time because I did stay so hydrated. So staying hydrated and then eating when I could, that really, really helped. Showering, it's one of those things where, man, when you're freezing cold, getting under a hot shower actually felt really, really good. But then when you get out, it's like the worst thing ever. So I would put like a space heater in the bathroom, and I would take a shower, and then I'd get out, and then I would be next to a space heater. I know probably not the greatest thing to do when you had a fever, but that really, really helped. It helped me feel like I was not just like sitting doing nothing. And I would like even sit down in the shower because I like didn't even have the strength to stand up the whole time. That really, really helped. And then vitamin C, vitamin D. I am quite confident that the amount of vitamin C that I took was the thing that allowed me to get back up. I mean, as quickly as I did. I say as quickly as it has been 7 or 8 days. But I could feel it when there were times when I would not go. Would not take vitamin C for like 8 or 10 hours. I could feel it. And so I took vitamin C, about a half a teaspoon of vitamin C powder, put that vitamin C powder in some apple juice, stirred it up. And every 2 hours I took vitamin C. So the big thing I would say, guys, is like, you're probably going to be fine if you get it. But like what made me be able to get through it without dying, and what made this whole entire process much, much easier for me, was having a plan in place. I'm kind of a doomsday prepper, so I always have everything in our house is like always full. Vitamin C, like the powder, absolute must. Apple juice to put it in if you don't like the actual like the sour taste of it, like I don't. So vitamin C, vitamin D plus K2, little pill I take. Zinc, NyQuil, absolute must if you're trying to sleep. For the cough, Mucinex. Trying to think what else. Green juice or any form of like smoothies and drinks like that. Really, really helpful. Chicken noodle soup, easy things to put down. And then water / Gatorade, some form of liquid that you can enjoy. That really, really helped as well. So that was my COVID experience. That's kind of how it affected me. I am not over it entirely yet. I'm still, just staying at home, and I mean, this has probably honestly been the longest I've not coughed. I mean, we were going on 30 minutes right now without me breaking out into a cough, which is really nice. Yeah, I hope this brings some perspective and educates you on how much this can knock you out. You're not going to work if you get this, if you got it like I did. There's no way. Like you couldn't, I don't even think you'd have the energy to walk out to your car. I know I didn't. During this entire, time frame of everything, sitting on the couch and doing absolutely nothing. I played a little bit of Xbox. I watched some webinars, but like I really wasn't even paying attention for a lot of the time, because even just moving my hands was just, knocked me out. So anyway, that was my experience. Hope it helped bring some perspective. Once again, my purpose of this was to educate on what it was like, and so that you can go out and make your own decisions, and hopefully time it to when, that you get it at a time that allows you to take a week off work, that you get it at a time that is the most convenient for you to be down for 4, 5, or 6 days, because that is very much a possibility. And so one of the things that I'm very grateful for is that it did come over Thanksgiving, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's 5 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 5 days. And those 5 days I pretty much had off over the Thanksgiving holiday. And so I really only had to miss 1 day of work. I did 6 days off. And then that 7th day, even though I was sick, I was well enough to at least come back and do a little bit of, meetings and catch up and things like that. But if you're like in the middle of something, like this would completely wipe out any plans that you had. And so if you're thinking about getting it, or if you're like, hey, I just want to get it and get it over with. I know many people that are just like, hey, I just want to get it and get it over with. Plan a week and be like, all right, if this is the week I'm hoping to get it, if I'm going to expose myself to it. And I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but I know many people that have done that. Like if you're like, hey, I just want to get it and get it through, plan at least 3 or 4 days knowing that you are going to be completely knocked out if you get it as bad as I did, potentially longer. And there's been people I know that have beat it in 2 days, and there's people, like I said, that have beat it in 2 or 3 weeks. It's taken them to get over it. So anyway, hope this helped. Going back to my views on whether or not the government should tell people to wear masks and should encourage people to lock down their businesses and things like that. Here's the deal, guys. I believe fundamentally that it is that life in general is risk. Everything that we do in life, there's a risk to it. When you get in the car, there is a risk that you could die. There is. I mean, there's a risk that there's a drunk driver out there. There's a risk that, something could go wrong and your car can malfunction and you could die. There's a risk of getting in an accident and dying. Whether, going outside on a walk, there's risk. Going mountain biking, there's a risk. Doing anything in life is risks, and the ability for one to make their own decisions and for one to go, okay, I'm going to make decisions and I'm going to understand my risk and I'm going to take calculated risk. I understand that when I take the doors off my Jeep, there's a calculated risk. I understand that I am more at risk of potentially getting hurt without doors on my car, right? Without doors on my Jeep than if there were doors on, right? I understand that there's risk of me getting on a plane and flying. I had surgery recently on my eyes. I understood that there was a risk that I could go blind, right? There's all sorts of risks in life. And I believe that it is not the responsibility of the government or anybody else to tell us how to make our decisions or what decisions we must make or how we must live our life. I think that is the fundamental role of the person, the individual, to decide how it is that they're going to live their life. And I believe that they have to be able to make their own decisions. Now, my mom and I, and it's funny, my mom is probably the person that keeps me the most balanced or the most grounded. And my mom and I agree on a lot of things, but my mom often likes to play the devil's advocate. And she said, Josh, I want you to think about something. I want you to think if you were the governor of a state, all right, and you're responsible for everybody in the state, and you have, hospital leaders coming to you, and you have, people that you respect. You have your business friends coming to you. You have other leaders that are in, positions that you respect these people, and they're calling you up and they're like, Josh, the hospitals are going to be overrun, right? Or Josh, just please make people wear a mask. Just please mandate it. Just please shut down the economy just so that we can get this under control. Hey, Josh, please, understand what's going on here. What would you do, Josh? What would your response if you were in that position? If you were the governor and you had to make the decision to either shut down the economy or mandate masks, think about if you were in that position, what it is that you would do. Would you shut things down? Would you mandate things? And it was interesting because my first response is, there's a reason I'm not governor, right? I am not, I am not the type of person that is capable of being governor right now, right? It's a good thing that I am not in the role of government and that I'm not the one making these decisions because, I haven't had the leadership experience that someone like that I think should have. And who knows, maybe someday I'll be governor. I can't ever imagine being the governor of a state. I can't ever imagine running for office. But, if I was in that position, I said, Mom, here's what I would do. No, I wouldn't. I would not shut down the economy. I would not force people to wear masks. I would not mandate any of that because I fundamentally will never, ever, 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 ever take away somebody's fundamental right to choose. Ever. I said, I don't care who it was. It could be my most respected friend. I was like, Donald Trump or Russell Brunson, they themselves could call me up and Donald Trump could be like, Josh, you've got to shut down the economy, which obviously would never happen. But even if he did, and I wouldn't do it. Why? Because I don't believe that it is the government's responsibility to take away somebody's fundamental right to choose. You have to let people make their own decisions. You have to let businesses make their own decisions. You have to let the individual make their own decisions. You have to. It doesn't matter how deadly something is. It doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter. You have to let people make their own decisions. However, what I would do, and this is, once again, this is the loving side of me coming out, and this is the side of me that actually maybe I don't show off enough, which is I really do care. And I really do want people to be to be healthy and wealthy, but healthy. I really do want people to be safe. I really do want people to make decisions that are best for everybody. But I don't believe we can force it. I believe we have to educate people on it. And so what I would do is I would go to these doctors, I would go to these nurses, and I would say, hey, let's record videos and let's get this out on TV, letting people know, hey, listen, we really strongly encourage you to wear masks, and here's why. Hey, we really strongly encourage you to limit the amount of people in your store, and here's why. Hey, we really strongly encourage you to stay home if at all possible, right? We're not going to force it on you. We're not going to mandate it, right? We're not going to take away your freedom, but we are going to just encourage you as much as we possibly can. We're going to show you and educate you on the effects of COVID. We're going to educate you on the fact that, hey, listen, if you get it, right now our hospitals, they're being overrun. We're running out of ICU beds. So you know what? If you get it and you come to the hospital right now, you might not be able to get the care that you need. And you need to understand the risk. You need to understand that if you get it, we might not be able to help you because right now we have a rise in cases, right? I would educate and I would encourage and I would maybe even incentivize people to do something. I would incentivize businesses to put things in place. Maybe I would do, tax reductions or tax incentives of some sort. If you're, the individual, I would make it to where, hey, like you have the right to, if you don't feel comfortable going out, that your employer must allow you to work from home if at all possible, right? Like I would encourage these things, but in no way would I ever mandate it. In no way would I ever force it. Because the second that you force something, the second that you like when you tell someone you must, you take away somebody's ability to choose and you take away that person's freedoms and you rob them of the ability to think for themselves and you rob society of reacting in the way that humans can react, because I absolutely fundamentally believe in human beings. I believe that we're created by God and that God gave us a brain that we can use. But when you take away our ability to choose, when you take away the need to think, I mean, look around at society today. We are raising a society of people that literally don't know how to think. And when you take away somebody's ability to think, when you rob them of that, you create a dumb society. You create a society that is dependent and needy. And we don't, like, that's the worst type of society. People being dependent on the government is the worst possible thing that can happen to them, right? People should be able to take responsibility for their life. If you need government assistance, if there's a time in your life where you need some help, that's fine, right? Like, everybody is going to go through life differently, and each person's going to have, times when they probably are going to be in need. And sometimes they might not have a support system. Like they might not have a church system that they can go to. They might not have parents or relatives that they can go to for help or in need, right? So they might need some assistance. But making an entire society dependent upon the government, making an entire society's decisions on whether or not they can or cannot work, shutting down the entire country, locking people in their homes, that is never, ever, ever the answer. I don't care. Like I said, I literally don't care if it was a 50% death rate. That's not the answer. You have to educate people. You have to educate people to make their own decisions. And then people can go, once they understand what the consequences of their decisions are, let them make that. And probably the most insane, ironic, like illogical thing that the people that are pro lockdowns say is, hey, listen, we should lock everybody in their houses. I'm like, that makes no sense. If I'm not afraid of the virus, if I'm not afraid of it, and I'm going to choose not to live in fear, I'm going to go out. And if you are afraid, that's fine. Stay home. So if you don't want to go out, you stay home. And guess what? If you stay home, there is a 0% chance that you get the virus from me for going out because you're at home. And it makes no sense. It's like, okay, if there's, 100% of the population and 50% of them are afraid and 50% of them are not, why would you lock 100% of them in a home? That makes zero sense. Why would you shut down businesses? That makes no sense. If you're afraid, if you don't want to get the virus, you stay home. You lock yourself down. That's your choice. Stay home, be safe, don't spread it. But guess what? If I'm not worried about it, and I know that I'm probably going to get it anyway, and I want to go out, then that's what I'm going to do. And I understand my risks, and I understand that I might get it. And I understand that somebody else may be irresponsible, and their being irresponsible is going to give it to me. I know that risk, and I'm willing to take that risk because I want to be a free individual and free human. But it makes, there's no logic. There is no logic. There is not a logical argument for lockdowns. It does not exist. Even the World Health Organization has come out and said, do not, like lockdowns are bad. Do not do lockdowns. They are not helping. They are worse than than the virus itself. The World Health Organization, okay? Like, there is zero argument for that, okay? And when it comes to masks, listen, I think masks are dumb. I actually don't think masks do a whole lot. I really don't, right? But guess what? If a business, a private business or a private individual asked me to wear a mask when entering their privately run business, I would do that, no question, no problem, zero problem. When Walmart, a private business, is like, hey, we prefer you to put a mask on, no problem. In Nebraska, everything's open, by the way, in Nebraska. In Nebraska, like, you can go and you don't have to wear a mask in stores. You can just go and there's no social distancing. Like, everything's just back to normal and it's great, right? But if I were to go to a business in Nebraska and there was a sign on their door that said, hey, for the health and safety of our customers, we ask you to wear a mask. No problem, right? Because it's their private business and I want to be respectful of that. I have no problem supporting that. I have no problem in a close area where there's going to be a lot of people around. If the venue is like, hey, we want you to put a mask on, no problem. But don't tell me I have to if you're the government. It's not the government's job. It's simply not, ever. Never the government's responsibility to tell me how to live my life. And I go so far as if the government tells me to do it, I will deliberately do the opposite. I don't care. I don't want to listen to the government. I will intentionally, on purpose, go to the extreme, to the point where I would even pay a fine to not have to wear a mask just because the government is requiring it of me. Private business, no problem. I'll put it on, no problem. But the government, absolutely not. There's a fundamental difference because at that point, you're invading personal freedoms and we may never get those back. So that's been my experience with COVID. That's my beliefs. No, my beliefs on the lockdowns, my beliefs on the masks, my beliefs on the COVID restrictions do not change at all. In fact, if anything, I'm doubling down on my beliefs in that area. However, I do believe that the thing that I literally think that the number one thing the government could do, they're not doing, which is educating people, which is going out there and saying, hey, here's real life examples of what could potentially happen, just so that you're aware, and then let people make their own decisions. And that's my purpose with this podcast, and that's my hope, that people will come and listen to this podcast and go, oh, okay, I now know that the likeliness, if I get COVID, I'm going to have intense aches, intense headaches, a high fever, incredible fatigue, a super, super deep cough, lose sense of taste, lose sense of smell, and probably be down for maybe even up to 7 or 8 days. Okay, cool. I now know that those are my risks. Am I worried about that? Yes. Okay, cool. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to take extra precautions. I'm going to use hand sanitizer. I'm going to social distance. I'm going to take, be very, very careful. But if you're not worried about that and you go, hey, guess what? I just want to get it and get it over with because we know that you're immune to it once you've had it. Cool. Then go and get it and be responsible. And I will say this, guys, if you know you had it, and I want to, I believe in people being responsible citizens, right? If you know you've had it, or if you know you have it and could spread it, don't go out, right? Don't go intentionally try to spread it, right? Like, when I knew I had it, I didn't go pick up food. I had it, I had it Grubhubbed here and I had them leave it at the door. I didn't have any contact or I didn't even see them, right? I stayed inside. I didn't go anywhere. Be responsible if you know you have it. I always believe that we should think of our fellow human and that we should understand that our actions can affect somebody else's life. And so that we should do everything that we can to help prevent spreading it to people that might not want it. But I don't think that's the government's job to tell us that we must. I just believe that that's what we should do as responsible humans and citizens. So anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. If this was helpful, let me know with the comments down below. Just comment hashtag helpful down below. Hit that like button, hit the love button. If you're listening on audio, oh boy, I'm going to have to get off here because I'm about to start coughing. Guys, if you're listening on audio, shoot me a DM on Instagram at Josh40. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. The subscribe button is hands down the thing that helps us grow the most. So if you're not subscribed on iTunes or Spotify yet, go subscribe on iTunes or Spotify or wherever it is that your favorite audio platform is. Even if you're watching on video right now, go over there, hit the subscribe button, leave a rating, leave a review. We'd super, super appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your support. Hopefully this was helpful and that you learned something from it. Share this out if you think other people should hear it, and we'll go from there. Guys, as always, hustle, hustle. God bless. Do not be afraid to think different, because those of us that think different are going to be the ones that change the world. I love you all, and I will see you on the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Peace. Monkey.